Tesla stock is up 1.65% at the time of recording this video, following some really good news out of China. It is being reported that last week, Tesla delivered 17,100 Teslas in China, which compares to 17,300 in the prior week. This is a very strong number, and it wouldn't surprise me if things actually get even stronger for Tesla. As you can see, in the last 5 weeks or so of 2023, Tesla deliveries on a week-by-week basis went from about the mid 16,000 range, all the way up to almost 19,000 by the last 3 weeks of the year. So could you start to top 20,000 potentially in the coming weeks? It's a strong possibility. And this is really setting Tesla up for a strong Q4 report. Question is, how good is the US? That's really been the weak spot in recent quarters. Unfortunately, we don't get high frequency data out of the United States. We don't get weekly or even monthly delivery numbers from the US. The best we really have is Google Trends data, because odds are if you're buying a Tesla, you're going to search about it on Google first. And we are seeing these numbers ramping upwards, as you would expect to see if there is strength in the United States. The Model Y went from 22 to 30, very strong increase. The Model 3 went from 19 to 23, that's okay. The Model S went from 10 to 11. The Model X went from 7 to 8, and the Cybertruck went from 32 to 34. So overall, a pretty solid uptrend we are seeing in the United States Google Trends data. And finally, the German police have started clearing their protest camps outside of Tesla's Giga Berlin factory. Kardashian posted a video of the Cybercab with an Optimus bot that was sitting in the vehicle to Instagram, and she says, quote, "Have to give respect and credit to one of the best car designers ever, Franz von Holzen. This car is crazy." And Franz on X says, "Thanks, Kim K, amazing team, and more to come." Using Kim Kardashian in this way is probably some of the best advertising you could have, because I would argue a lot of Kim K fans probably don't drive a Tesla. They're probably not too in tune with what Tesla is doing these days. And yes, I'm sure Kim Kardashian was paid to promote Tesla, but I think that's a good advertising strategy, at least for that demographic. And whether you like him or hate him, Jim Cramer says, quote, "While I don't buy the national self-driving mandate, I think nothing truly dulls the case for owning Tesla. The Musk Premium will work its magic in other ways, perhaps favorable municipalities and Tesla rentals next to federal highways. Tesla has introduced a new promotion in Texas. You get 1 year of unlimited overnight vehicle charging for $5 a month if you take delivery of a new Tesla and enroll in a Tesla electric fixed plan by December 31st, 2024, which sounds like a great deal if you live in Texas. Jaguar has unveiled its new logo, and it's not really a logo. It's kind of a commercial of weird clothes and weird dancing. Elon Musk says, "Do you sell cars?" with a question mark, because there's not even a car on their website, which is just strange. Jaguar recently announced that they are no longer selling gas vehicles, that they are only selling electric vehicles, in which it doesn't look like they're selling much of anything these days. Oh, and Jaguar actually responded to Elon Musk and confirms that they do indeed sell cars, that they'd love to show him. Join us for a Coupa in Miami on the 2nd of December. Warmest regards, Jaguar. And it's being reported today, the Warren Buffett indicator hits an all-time high of 202%, surpassing the dot-com bubble, the global financial crisis, and the 2022 bear market. Liz Ann Saunders reports that over the past week, government bond ETFs had massive outflows, while nearly $28 billion went into U.S. large caps. Whereas U.S. broad equities actually seen outflows of almost $500 million, which is quite interesting. It's also being reported that Meet Kevin has bought back into Tesla, which now represents almost 5% of his ETF. It's also being reported via new 13F filings that Vanguard and BlackRock and other institutions have been loading up on Tesla stock under $300 per share, with Vanguard that added almost 2 million shares, and others like T. Rowe Price that added 3 million shares, and Jennison Associates LLC that added 1.3 million Tesla shares, and others like Geode Capital Management that added over 1 million shares, and the list kind of goes on and on. There was a lot of buying in Tesla right before Tesla stock went parabolic following the election. Tom over here on X says Mike Wilson has turned bullish, sees S&P climbing to 6,500 next year. Rest in peace, bulls. And Bank of America says the S&P 500 is statistically expensive on every valuation metric, says Bank of America. Car dealership guy on X says Ford is facing a massive inventory challenge. Of over 200,000 trucks on dealer lots today, just under 1,000 of which are 2025 models. Meanwhile, 5,063 of those trucks are still new 2023s, a somewhat troubling sign for the automaker this late in the year. For consumers waiting on the sidelines, Ford's excess inventory will likely lead to deeper year-end discounts and bring more buyers into the fold. And it's kind of weird, Beijing Stock Exchange 50 index falls over 6% today, which could be a troubling sign for US equities at some point down the line. Liz Ann Saunders reports that US Financial Conditions Index has rarely been looser or easier when looking back at the past couple of decades. Car dealership guy on X says this feels like the auto industry's Bud Light moment in regards to the Jaguar advertisement. I don't really know what to call it. It's supposed to be like a logo and endorsement for the new path of their brand, but it's very strange. With that said, Tesla stock is currently up over 2% at the time of recording this video, and there is no shortage of bulls out there. You have 131 different trades totaling $128 million with a positive order value of 93%. Another day in a row, this is 2 days in a row now, of over 90% positive order, ratios in the institutional options market for Tesla. Yesterday, it was 92% positive, and again, today, it's 93% positive. That can only be a good sign for Tesla stock. Volume today is almost 60% to the call side and about 40% to the put side. That's also a pretty good ratio. But given the positive order value is 93%, the call amounts are much more or much larger than the put amounts. Tesla short interest of free float sits at 2.8%. You have $26.5 billion sold short in Tesla, totaling 78.25 million shares. Here on the day today, it looks like about 300,000 shares are being covered on, helping to fuel this 2+% rally that we're seeing today. CNN's Fear and Greed Index currently sits at 50. Yesterday, you closed at 49, so that's actually improving 1 point today, but you are exactly in the middle on this Fear and Greed Index. Market momentum in greed territory, stock price strength, extreme fear, stock price breadth, extreme fear. Put and call options in fear, market volatility is neutral, safe haven demand is greed, junk bond demand in extreme greed. Over on StockTwit, sentiment for Tesla is bearish today at 43, which is surprising. Yesterday, it was neutral at 46. Message volume today is normal at 49. Yesterday was normal at 51. And the participation ratio today is high at 55. The percent of stocks currently trading above their 50-day moving average is down about 2.21% today to 53.11%. You actually have 1.2% of all stocks falling below their 50-day moving average today. So it's really not a great day for the average stock out there. And here you can see the RSP, which is the equal weight S&P, is actually down about 1/3 today. So if you own stocks that are in the green, well, they're kind of the outliers today. And I do notice on the RSP, from a simple technical perspective, you're kind of at a pretty important level connecting these recent lows. I mean, things look good. You're hitting higher lows, but if you break down from here, things could get nasty in the markets. Just a pretty simple observation. And I guess the same parallel could also be drawn for the S&P also, depending on which way you actually want to chart this. It could look a little different, but you're kind of at an important level as well, or inflection point on the S&P. I think it's going to come down to NVIDIA. If NVIDIA has good earnings, if things are great in AI, then, I mean, that could be a good sign for a year-end rally. If they're not, that's going to be a breaking point for markets. We'll talk about that more in the next video. With that said, global inventory numbers falling a little bit today for the Model 3 down to about 4,900, Model Y at 6,300, Model X at about 4,900 as well, and the Model S at 3,000. Tesla still running 4,000 different ads with Google. And the latest AI investor sentiment survey still shows bullish investors at 49.8%, neutral investors at 21.8%, and bearish investors at 28.3%, which is almost the highest level of bulls you have seen since at least December of 2023, which I think is not where we should be. The truth is we are in a higher risk environment, and equities at some point may reflect that, and I think that's the risk here. But again, we'll talk about that more in the next video. Let me know what you think about this information down below in the comment section. What is your expectation for Tesla stock going ahead? We'll also talk about that in the next video as well. You guys have a great rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one.